All right, it's Monday, 7:46 a.m. and I decided to go live real quick. And today I wanted to talk about how I basically almost lost everything, but we'll wait for some people to join. And just to shed some context real quick, I think today actually marks my 6-year anniversary at Single Grain. So 5 years since I took over, 6 years of being here. And I want to fill in the gaps real quick. Basically, I took over. I first joined the company when it was a failing company, and the reason it was failing was because Google made a big update to their algorithm, right? So the Penguin update happened, and a lot of the work that was being done by Single Grain, which is mostly an SEO company at the time, no longer worked. And so I was doing really well at Treehouse at the time, leading marketing there, and I was able to kind of successfully turn it around because we had a really great product, we had a really great team, we just needed to kind of fix marketing. Had less than 5 months of cash left in the bank, and we're able to turn it around because I bet the entire company on YouTube ads. Now, I think that was just, needed to make a little tweaks to the company to make it work. Now the company is very successful, so I'm not going to try to take like all the credit at all. I think it's mostly due to, and even Single Grain now, it's mostly due to the team. But just kind of nudging things in the right direction. So that company at the time, we had 50 employees or so, and I think we were burning through a ton of cash. And a month into it, even though I inherited kind of someone's work for the past 2 years, a month into it, the CEO told me he would have to let me go if I couldn't hit numbers. So that was a moment where I kind of had to turn things around, right? And that moment, I'll just tell you right now, and we'll come back to this in a little later, is when you look at something and it's a very high risk situation, you're very sure that what you're gonna do is the right thing, go ahead and take control, right? And I'll come back to that in a little bit. But at the time I just decided, I thought I knew what was best, and I decided to bet everything on YouTube just because I had a lot of data already. So that company went from doing like $2 million at the time, and now they're doing, I think, upwards of $15 to $20 million a year. And they're doing really well. And so what happened was, Neil, my buddy, he said his company, which was a partner in Single Grain at the time, he said, hey, look, my cousin's company could use your help, right? So I came in as the chief operating officer to Single Grain. There's 4 other partners at the time, so 5 including myself. And, basically it was to come save this company, right? So it was like, okay, I kind of was able to turn things around at Treehouse. Can I do it at Single Grain, right? So that was the upside for me. To me, there was really no upside in joining the company at the time because I thought it was, to be honest, it was a house of cards. I thought things were going to kind of fall apart, right? Hey Manav, how's it going? So we're talking about how basically I almost lost everything, and so what happened was I came in, and then the Penguin update hit, so all the work we're doing for clients no longer worked, right? We had clients like Airbnb, Salesforce, all these different clients, right? And so how could I turn it around? So we decided, okay, at the time, let's go ahead and let's focus on content marketing, because pivoting from SEO to content marketing, that seems like it would be the best thing, right? And we also had people in the company that were working on kind of different things that were completely unrelated to the business. So not even related to kind of marketing, but like completely different business lines, right? So I learned a lot of lessons there. And then a year into it, and by the way, I'm still friends with all the partners. Sujin and I, we spoke about it, and then Sujin said, he wasn't too interested in doing the business anymore, and the business was going down. It was getting worse, right? And I was able to successfully negotiate a deal, and you can find this online, but I was able to buy 10% of one person's shares for 10%, another person's shares for 10% for $1. So $2 each for 20%, and the rest would be paid through the profits of the company. So that's a little lesson in kind of doing creative deals. And the upside for me was that if it worked out, it would be unlimited upside, right? I would basically carry this thing and be able to parlay into other things that I wanted to do, because I always saw agency as a way to kind of do other things. I never actually really wanted to join the company. It was more so to prove that I could actually save something that was really not doing well. So I was able to take over the company 100%, so there was no more partners. But a year into it, so Manav, mastering digital marketing, it was all through a lot of practice and a lot of kind of implementation. So you can learn from a lot of people, you can watch YouTube videos, but you actually got to do the stuff, right? So anyway, we go a year into it, and then I take over, and things completely fall apart. So what basically happened was, I thought that I was reading a lot of books. I was doing a lot of interviews on the Growth Ever podcast. People are like, you got to delegate, you got to let people make mistakes, da da da. So I took that to an extreme. So I let everyone do everything, and I was almost like completely hands off. I made a lot of mistakes. Like I shut down the San Francisco office, so we went to a completely remote agency. I didn't build enough rapport with the team at the time, and then a lot of the work that we were doing, because we didn't have the expertise on the content marketing side, I decided we need to hire an executive with content marketing. The problem with that was when I hired this executive, I didn't do enough reference checks on that side, right? And then what happened was that caused us to lose a lot of clients, and then that also caused us to a lot of employees quit as well, and I was still hands off, right? And then I would also hear a lot of gossip kind of behind my back too, and I didn't try to nip it like in the bud immediately, right? So I didn't try to take care of it immediately. So there's a lot of different things. Like when we first hired this person, I was like traveling at the time too, so a lot of just, it was compounding mistakes. It's not just one thing, but the biggest thing I could say is it was very Jesus, I would say if you want to measure CAC by channel attribution, use a tool called Wicked Reports. Anyway, so going back to the story, basically I was so hands off that we lost a ton of employees, we lost a ton of clients too. People got in shouting matches with the clients, and I didn't take control. So when it's a high risk situation and I'm pretty sure that I know what to do, I should just take control, right? But if it's a high risk situation and I'm kind of uncertain about what to do, I should collaborate with people. So I failed on both of those, right? I didn't take control. B, I didn't collaborate with people, right? I was just like, I'm just gonna let people do it, right? They're smart people, they're working for the company, they should just figure it out. But it's never like that, right? When you listen to books, when you listen to podcasts, when you read books or when you read articles, you tend to think in absolutes, like do this, right? But you have to take things into your context and understand that people are looking to you for leadership, right? So I didn't lead in the first year, which led to me almost losing everything, right? So we were negative when I took the company over, and then we went all the way down to 1 employee after the first year of me taking over, right? And to me, someone just made a comment about, I think it was Anand, made a comment about not losing my cool, and the reason it was okay for me was because I played a lot of, I keep going back to this, but in college I played a lot of poker, right? And thank you for the nice comments, Anand. But I played a ton of poker in college, like 14 hours of poker a day. I almost never went to class, not to brag, but that taught me a lot to be resilient, right? And I think if you're doing marketing, you're doing entrepreneurship, you have to be resilient, because oftentimes you're not gonna get results that quickly, right? So in the first year, complete failure. Like I came into the company, tried to as a number 2 in the first year, didn't work out so much, and then I actually ended up taking over. And then a year into it, it got even worse, right? And so you can lose your shirt when you don't take control when it's a high risk situation, or you don't collaborate with people, right? Because people are looking to you for leadership. If you're the CEO, you're not there, that's kind of your fault, right? So then you fast forward, and then I almost got to the point where we got down to 1 employee, and then what happened was I actually got offered a job where it was a healthy 6-figure salary, up to like 300 or 350K or so, and the bonuses were up to $1 million. And I was very close to taking that job and just giving up on this thing. But I just felt wrong. I felt like that thing was just completely wrong. It's something didn't jive with it. And lo and behold, that company actually ended up, like, they laid off a bunch of employees a couple months ago, right? Like a ton of people quit. And on leadership, I think you get used to it. There's always different dynamics, but it's a big people thing, right? So I'm really referring to people right here, kind of taking care of your people and being there for your people, right? So that's how I almost lost everything, because I didn't have like a leadership system, right? So the leadership system I'm giving to you right now is that, here, I'm going to start from the top again. This is actually from a venture capitalist named Keith Raboy. I'm not pronouncing it right maybe, but he led ops at like PayPal, at Square, like a bunch of different companies, right? So when you're working with your team, if it's a high risk situation, right, and you're high certainty that what your decision, like your high certainty of what you think is right, is going to work, you should just take control, okay? Number 2 is, if it's a high risk situation, but you aren't so sure on what to do, you should collaborate with your team, okay? Because you're the leader, you collaborate with the team. Now, if it's a low risk situation and you're high certainty you know what to do, okay, delegate it out, right? Chalk it up to, hey, it's okay to make a mistake, it's gonna be a learning experience, right? So an example might be having someone take over like managing a dinner, for example, right? That's a little lower risk. Actually, I should say that maybe that's a little higher risk. Maybe ordering food for the office, right? That's a little lower risk. And it's okay to make mistakes there. You know, eventually they'll figure it out, right? Now, if it's a low risk, low certainty thing where it's like you aren't so sure what to do, but it's also very low risk, like buying Post-it notes or whatever, then that's okay, right? Go ahead and delegate it fully, right? So what my mistake was, what I was doing was I was doing the third tier the whole time, right? I was doing the third and the fourth tier. I was delegating, but treating it everything like a learning experience, or I was delegating it fully, right? So you have to have the first and the second tier of the leadership framework, right? Again, I'm gonna repeat it one more time. High risk, high certainty that you think what you're gonna do is your high certainty that it's correct. You go ahead and you take control, right? If it's high risk, low certainty, you're not too sure what to do, collaborate with your team. You gotta have those two tiers, right? You can't just make the mistake that I did. Yes, I will make a webinar, Anon, but you can't do the same mistake I did where I only had the third and the fourth tier, which is like, everything's a learning experience, go ahead and do it. Because what the problem is, and what's happening this year is I'm taking control of a lot of things where I'm just like, okay, I know what to do exactly, and then if you're gonna let people kind of learn things, you know, give them a timetable too, right? Like you can't just give them like unlimited rope. You got to take control, right? So, because you're the one that's gotten your company or your business, your marketing team to where it is, right? So keep that in mind. I'd be curious to know kind of in the comments too, like where you think you almost failed completely, and maybe you're starting out right now. Maybe you failed before. Where you? I'm curious to learn kind of what happened. I'm gonna read the comments real quick. So let's see, top chat viewing options. It's live is kind of tough for me because like the chats just kind of fly by and I can't see them again. Let's see. So Phil said, what's the best way to learn digital marketing? Go to A, listen to the Marketing School podcast, or B, watch this YouTube channel, or C, listen to Growth Everywhere, or D, read the blogs on the singlegrain.com blog, and you can also listen to them as well because we have them all in audio. Or you can watch any of the speaking that I've done in the past, okay? So look, those of you guys that are starting right now, a lot of you guys are asking the questions around kind of where to learn digital marketing, how to start with all this stuff. You gotta learn how to start first, you gotta be persistent, keep learning, and then execute. And then from there, you gotta learn how to use this leadership framework. Okay, so Manav says, how do you make sure that your team sticks with you and doesn't join your competitors afterwards? That's a really good question. So what I would say is you gotta take care of your team first. It's not just your customers first, it's your team first, and then you take care of your customers, right? Even when things aren't working like amazing, like, we wanted to hit amazing numbers in last year, right? We weren't quite able to do so because I was basically doing this number 3 thing where I was delegating, but I was treating it as a learning experience, even though I knew what to do and it was high risk. You gotta understand that, look, even the small gestures still make a big difference, right? Whether it's taking them out to eat, whether it's even like the small things like little gift cards or like tokens of appreciation, things like that. They all matter, right? And we're constantly getting better at that. The one thing I'll say is there's a book out there called Giftology. I would check out that book. It basically tells you how to be generous, right, to other people, and then basically you can have a framework to follow. A lot of this is a framework, right? Like what I'm just giving you right now is a leadership framework you can follow, and I'm actually going to give this to my leadership team too, where again, like, the biggest mistake is delegating things fully, I think, for me in the last year. Hari is asking, do I think AI influenced growth marketing to such an extent it would affect the credit given to marketers? AI at the end of the day, and I think maybe I'll cap it off with this. The book, Manav, is called Giftology, so Giftology. Now the comment about AI. So the thing I'll say about AI right now is AI is basically pattern recognition, right? So it ingests a lot of data, right? Machine learning, for example. Now, when you talk about Google predicting what you're going to type, right? It's taking a lot of data inside and it's kind of predicting what you're going to say, right? Or when you have the ability to search and you can see, like if you type dog, now there's so many tags around images where Google knows what a dog actually looks like, right? That's kind of training a machine. Or when you have the AI that beat the world's best previous kind of computer in AlphaGo, it only took 4 hours to learn that, right? But it learned on its own. Nobody else taught it. learned on its own. It had a lot of data, kept playing against itself, and then it started to do things in unconventional ways. So I think the way to look at AI in the future is to actually say, you know, AI, how can AI kind of merge with kind of human creativity and then make things a lot more efficient? That's what I think it's going to do. But that's, you know, a much deeper topic. I'll talk about that another time. But today, guys, you know, just know that you guys have to have a leadership system. This is basically, because I didn't have a leadership system, and I'm constantly refining it, I almost lost everything. So keep that in mind. And don't be like me. Don't go all the way down to one employee. So that's it for today. Let me know in the comments kind of what you guys thought and where you guys you know, thought you almost failed, and you know, we'll try to reply to every single one. And by the way, if you guys want ideas on how to grow your traffic, talk with my team, you can just type brand into the comments, and then we'll have our team reach out with a link to you to actually get on a call to see if it makes sense to talk about it. So that's it for today. See you guys tomorrow.